Hi, hello everyone. Uh, I am Dhanvantri Konasagaram Chippagi. I'll introduce myself briefly. Yes, I have completed my bachelor's in forensic science from Government Institute of Forensic Science, Aurangabad. So today I'm gonna present about how we are going to generally how digital crime scene is handled and how the investigation goes on. Generally it is considered the digital crime scene like so the cyber crimes are far too different from the conventional crimes, as we know. Generally in conventional crimes we do get evidences it may be of blood or saliva, maybe weapons, right? But in case of cyber crimes we only get the systems or else maybe some logs, right? So uh, the type of investigation and how we are going to investigate, the steps involved in it, and how it's different from the conventional crimes investigation, and the steps that we are going to see. So let me start. When it comes to the digital crimes investigation, there are few steps uh, when you reach the crime scene. So from there onwards, your investigation is going to start, right? So there will be identification, acquisition, preservation, analysis, documentation, and reporting. So these are the we highlighted. These are the main steps that will be involved in a crime scene investigation of a cybercrime. Okay. So when it comes to the identification part of the investigation, so there will be here we have to identify what kind of evidences may be involved in this case. We have to look for something potential evidence. So here we may be looking for some digital assistants, digital assistants, maybe files, laptops, maybe for memory chips even, so hard drives, maybe thumb drives even, right? So there will be multiple sources of evidences, but we have to narrow down what might be the evidences regarding what type of crime it is. So let's say if we are looking for something, let's say there is a data breach in some organization. So what we will be looking at will be we will be looking for the logs of the system, right? So what action took at what time. So generally here we consider the whole system as some evidence. So generally when it comes to the cybercrime, we generally don't have all this these are not only the evidences that we will be looking at, the laptops, hard drives and all. So maybe sometimes we have to look for something manual logs also. Let's say there is a company where there will be shifts of working. Okay, so in the morning shift some worker came, so they entered their name in their registry and the system they took and what work they did. Okay, so let's say if you suspect something is wrong in that time, so we will be looking for something like who was at that system. So here we will be looking at the logs also, like which people were involved, like who are the persons actually involved at the time, who were in the organization at that time. So maybe sometimes we will be looking for some paper notes even. Let's say uh, uh, le- uh, there is some suspicion on the head of the department, or else let's say some director of some organization. So let's say we have to look for some credentials he will be managing, like there will be multiple accounts, right? So one person may have multiple accounts on multiple platforms even. Let's say you want to maintain some files on your personal drive, so you may use Google Drive. So for that also there will be some username and passwords, right? So here we will be looking for those two, looking for paper notes to what all the notes that are available at them and what are they related to. So here in this identification step, what we will be doing is we'll be looking for some potential source of evidence which will be helpful in our further investigation process. So which will give some leads to crack the case. Okay. So when it comes to the acquisition step, so here it is after something like you identified some potential source of evidence, so you have to acquire the data from it. So let's say if you found a pen drive or else a memory card on the scene, so you have to recover the data, sorry, you have to acquire the data. So you have to make a bit by bit copy of the data whatever that is present in that memory card or pen drive. So what we will be doing is like generally some steps are there, like some basic rules we can say that are till today considered, like in the in nowadays, so those are considered like before few years we can say even. So generally the steps considered are like if the system we found on the scene, like let's say you found a laptop on the scene, so what you will be doing is like you'll just have to pull out the power cord so as to interrupt the power supply and shut it automatically. Okay, you don't have to do any action so as to get it turned off. So if the system is in turn off condition, so we don't have to turn it on. So let's say you found a system, you don't know whether it is in the on condition or off condition. So what you will be doing is simply you will just hover the mouse on the desk, right? So that if the system is in the sleep mode, it will come into the wake mode. So the screen may appear, right? Okay. So we will not be going to press any keys on the keyboard even, because maybe like giving some input through the keyboard or pressing any key may lead to some another action. So that's why we are not going to press any keys on the keyboard. So we'll be just hovering the mouse. Those are some of the we can say the general rules that were considered till few years ago. But let's say you found a system in which some data is being stolen, or else let's say some sort of data being sent to some another person, which is very dangerous, or else we can say it is something that's a matter of national security. So let's say if we consider there is a case of cyber terrorism where we found something, uh, a laptop or a system sending some data to unknown party. So what we will be doing is like we cannot turn it off, right? So we need the details where like to whom the details are being shared, or else what's the actual process that's going on in the system, right? So in that case we have to look like examine the live system itself. So we have to break these rules in that case. So there are different methodologies to examine the systems, like if the system is in a live condition, so the methodology will be different on what we have to acquire, like on based on our interest we can say, like the methodology will be different. So let's say if you found some live system, so generally when you found a live system running with processes, what all the processes that are running in the system will be stored in the RAM of the system, right? Random access memory of the system. So generally within the RAM memory, so when you learn into more into memory forensics, there will be like what all the there will be different processes running in background in the system. So every process will be having some process ID, and when it started, etc., some details you will get. Okay. So let's say if you want there is an application launched in the system that we found, so we have to acquire the memory of the running system, right? So what we have to do is we have to actually copy the whole RAM through some sort of tool into some disk that we are having. So generally there are some challenges, like some we can say these are not the limitations we can say, but these are some challenges that we are going to face. Let's say if you want to acquire the RAM of the system, that is the memory of the system, so you need some tool. So as to launch the some application within the system, you need the RAM. So when you launch an application, the RAM of the system is being used. So in that case, maybe let's say there was some process running earlier before launching the application. So due to launching the application, there may be alterations in the memory of the system, right? But when we launch some application, let's say if you consider FTK Imager, so there will be one option that is for acquiring the memory, right? So when you launch this kind of things, uh, what are the changes that we are going to consider, like means the changes that we will be getting in the RAM are very less, like they are too less that it still can be considered as the intact RAM is has been copied. Okay, so that's why this challenge is like it's still accepted, like this method is still accepted. But one more thing, let's say you found some system with Ubuntu operating system and some processes running on it. So let's say if you whoever the investigator investigating the case is expert in Windows operating systems, in the like in the area of acquiring the evidence and all. So let's say like whoever will be the person acquiring that evidence will not be, if he is not having any knowledge and the methods that we have to take in that case, so it will be an problem. Let's say you found something unknown to you, something unknown to you, and you don't know any tools, like let's say some X operating system is there, but there are a- uh, we don't have much tools so as to get the things, like so as to acquire the memory of it. So let's say if we are not having such softwares and all, still it's a challenge to us to acquire the memory of the system. So one method we are going to discuss here. So here we are going to discuss about cold boot attack. So this cold boot attack is like, we know that the memory of the system, like the RAM of the system will fade away as soon as the system gets shut down. So we know that generally when we shut down the system, the contents of the RAM will get erased, like they will get fade away, means generally it's charge within that circuit actually. So it will get fade on time, right? So generally it takes about 30 seconds uh, uh, so as to get the contents erased. But let's say this is at normal temperature. But let's say if we subject those RAM chips to a very low temperature, then the retention of the data get increased, like the retention time, like how long the RAM is going to like store that data is the time what are the time that's will be there, it's going to increase up to 10 minutes. So what we will do is we'll just we will keep the power source intact, and we will just keep the like we will uh, remove the RAM chip from the system and we'll replug into some another system. Okay, so we can read out what all the processes that were going. uh, then coming to the like normal dead system, or analyzing the secondary storage of the the system. So when it comes to analyzing the hard disk drive or any pen drive or the memory cards, so the processes that are involved in analyzing this hard disk drive or SSDs or pen drives is generally the steps that will be taken are write blocking the device, then we have to disk image, then we are going to hash the what are the data, right? So these all the processes. So write blocking can be done using any hardware, like if you are working on image solo master 4, in that generally the suspect drive, what are the thing that we found on that port, generally write blocking will be automatically there. uh, then they will be going for disk imaging. We can choose Tableau also, Tableau write blocker for write blocking the device even. Then we will be going for disk imaging. So disk imaging will be done from any tool, like either it may be of like FTK or Autopsy. Okay, so based on the operating system and the tool that you are going to use, So the tool may be vary, but the thing is same. Like you are going to image the entire, like you are going to make a bit by bit copy of the entire disk. We can say like cloning the same. Okay, then we are going to hash the data using some hashing algorithm. It can be message digest or standard hashing algorithm, right? So the bit length may be vary 128 or 256, right? So generally this is the process, like about how we are going to analyze the secondary storage of the system. But there are some challenges in these two. Generally what the companies or the people do generally is they may put encryption over the data that is stored, okay, so as to make our data visible as a something plain or normal. So there will be some passphrase. Passphrase is nothing but we can say we can it's similar to password. So we have until and unless we give that passphrase to the system, we won't get the actual data, right? So in this case what we will be going the thing is we are going to face some encryption problem. Like actually we are not going to get the actual data. Okay, then it will be full disk encryption. Generally these encryption on HDDs like hard disk drives will be achieved by some software, we can say like Microsoft's BitLocker is there, which will encrypt your data. So in case of SSDs and pen drives, there is one problem, we can say these are like self-encrypting devices. Generally when it comes to SSDs, solid state drives, they will be having a limited read and write cycles. Let's say you have a 250 TB SSD, you wrote all the data over it and you completely deleted all the data. So let's say you did this for several times. So let's say the SSDs like SSD will also be having some software, right? So as to run it. So what it will do is, let's say when you delete something, that part of it, like uh, that track or the whole uh, the sector of it, uh, it has to be made like we can say uh, it has to be marked like something unallocated, right? So generally in this case of SSDs, there is a the internal software of the SSD will what it will execute some command called trim. So actually what it will do is it will wipe the data that was earlierly present and which the part of disk which was marked unallocated. So it will wipe that data over there so that we won't be getting the some data even in this case. Let's say you were wiping the data or else the process was going on and the power loss is there. Let's say on giving just on plugging the device, the SSD to something power source, the trim will automatically execute it and the process will go on. So due to that even there is a mere disturbance in the power source, the data may get altered in this case. So this makes something a very challenging thing in the case of data acquisition in the case of SSDs. So there is one thing we have to consider, like so you want to go for normal data acquisition from the disk. So let's say if you found something in a on condition where encryption, where the passphrase was earlierly given. So in that case what we will be going to do is we will just remove the data connection of the disk and we will be going to we will be giving that connection to some other system in which we are going to collect the data. Okay, so when it comes to the servers, so generally in companies there will be some there will be many servers so as to store the data, right? So generally they will be having uh, like some rack of hard disks, actually we can say. Generally it is called to be RAID. In that case, the data due means the data will be taken back up into multiple disks. So in those cases also, like it is actually like random, uh, sorry, let it be. So generally what we will do, we'll just remove the data connection between the system and the hard disk, and we will connect the same into some another. So as long as the power source is given and the data connection is given, so the encryption will be in normal, like the so like we can say, if the disk disconnected with means if the disk lost the power, then it will go to the normal initial process. But let's say if we consider that the disk hasn't lost the power source, then it will be going to remain in a normal mode, so that we can go for data acquisition in some second PC. So after all this acquiring the data using some software or any tool, so we have to preserve the same data, right? So what we will do is we are going to make at least three copies. We are going to make at least three copies of the data, like the images of the data will be stored in some another forensically wiped hard disk drive or SSDs. So we have to copy the same into some sterile media, so that whatever the data that we stored in this will not get contaminated. And one more thing we have to consider here, that is like why we are going to make multiple copies, like 3 4 copies of the same data. So let's say if we have given you only a single set of data on which we have to work on, so there will be some fear in mind of the investigator, where he may have fear of like damaging the disk or destroying the evidence. So that's why we are going to make multiple copies, and that is the same when it comes to why we are not working on the same original evidence source, because we may alter something while examining. So that's why we are going to examine on something dummy on which in which we made some copies, right? That's why we have to go for preservation. So analysis. So what all the things that we discussed till here, like starting with identification, acquisition, and preservation. This process is something very different when it comes to analysis. So depending upon the case, like the methodologies or the analysis methods will be different. So let's say if you want to go for something deleted, so what you are going to do is you will be using some data recovery software, right? So let's say but you are much interested in what all the processes that were running when the data was acquired. So you will go for some another tool in which you will get these details. But let's say if you consider a mobile phone, so you want to go for something, you are interested in what all the WhatsApp chats and all. So there will be some other tool. So depending upon the uh, what case it is, the analysis will be different. And there will be lot of data in front of you regarding the case. There will be a lot of data in front of you, but still you have to get something that is related to the case, right? So this is what the analysis, the main step it is, we can say. Then about the documentation, like here documentation in that sense, we have to record all the steps that we have taken, starting from the very initial like identification step to till now, like the analysis even, what all the steps that we took, like on which date and time this system was seized or acquired, using which tool we acquired the data. So we will be having the photographs or else videographs, and maybe sometimes let's say you found something, uh, that cannot be captured or recorded. So in that case you will be going for note making event. Like, let's say you found some uh, data, uh, so you will be going to take a note of it even. So the documentation part will be like photography, videography, and note making. But when it comes to conventional crime scene, there will be sketch also. Here also we will consider sketch, but in most of the cases photography and videography are taken. So here you are going to take uh, you are going to make everything documented, well documented, we can say. So on which step, using which method you did, what all the steps that you took, etc. Then reporting. So when it comes to the reporting, let's say if you are working for an organization, let's say if you are working for a forensic laboratory, so you will be going to give your testimony in the court of law. Let's say if you are working for an organization, a private firm, so then you are going to give your report in front of board of directors. So there we are going to like what all the steps that we took and what the analysis we did and what's the conclusion. But we are not going to use all the language, like what all the into more into technical terms, but we have to make whoever will be the uh, like we can say higher authority. So we will be making them understand what all the facts that were involved, what the analysis we did, and what we got. Just here we will be giving the report in front of either the court of law or else the board of directors. So these are all the steps that are involved. Identification, acquisition, all these are like, these are the major steps we can say. So depending upon the scene, like depending upon the case and what all the evidences that we have to uh, collect and what all the data we have to work on, so the things will be different at each and every step. But generally I can say like the documentation and reporting will be the only things they will be same in every case, but these four steps will be changing, like what all, depending on our interest, the things will be different. So this is about digital crimes in investigation. I hope you got the difference between how a conventional crimes in investigation goes and how a digital crimes in investigation goes. Thank you.